Hey, Sahar Galt here, and I'm going to show you in this video how to record. We're going to track vocals, piano, and guitar. If you want to know how to build the studio, check out my last video here. And the first step is we open a blank project in our DAW software. Let's go. So here I am in Cubase, and I'm going to open a new project. Next, I need to set the sample rate and bit depth. Sample rate is how many times a second your audio is measured. Any sample rate, 44.1 kilohertz or above, will be sufficient to capture everything human ears are capable of hearing. Bit depth or bit resolution relates to the available dynamic range of the project. Choose 24-bit if you can. Now make sure that your audio interface and its driver are selected. And now that's taken care of, we're going to make sure that the DAW software understands the inputs and outputs of the interface. Right now, Cubase doesn't know the interface has any inputs. So I'm going to add all the mic inputs. You can name these if you want, but I won't waste our time on that. And then we need to make sure that Cubase understands where our outputs are, and in fact it does. That's where I've plugged in my monitor speakers. Now we need to specify the tempo, so the tracks we record will line up with the bars and beats of the project. If you don't know what the tempo of your song is, use the beat calculator. Tap on the keyboard or click your mouse along with the beat of your song, and Beat Calculator will tell you what the tempo of your song is. In my case, I already know the tempo of the song I'm going to record, so I'm going to close out of here and open up the tempo track. See, right now it's reading 120 beats per minute, but that's not actually what I want. So I'm going to drag this point down to the right tempo. And there we go. Now it's reading out the appropriate tempo. And the last thing we need to do before we actually get to making music is add some tracks onto which we'll record the audio. I know I need 3 audio tracks for what's coming up, so I'll add those in. Again, you can name these to stay organized. Just double-click the title. Then, to choose which interface input, and therefore what mic, corresponds to this track, make that selection here. And if you don't want to run back and forth between your instrument and the computer, you can use IC control to start and stop recording remotely via a mobile device. As it happens, I need to arm these 3 tracks so they'll record when I press the record button. I'll activate the metronome to play along with, and I'm going to wear headphones so that that metronome doesn't bleed into the microphones. And now we're off to the piano. There are lots of ways to mic up a piano. Anything from a single mic over where the bass and treble strings overlap, to a stereo pair of condensers at a single location in the room or hall, or even a bunch of mics at the hammers, at the sound holes, room mics at various locations, and all of those will be mixed to taste at the end. In my case, I know I want a piano sound with a crisp attack, so I've placed a couple large diaphragm condensers near the hammers, one over the bass strings and one over the treble strings, so I get a nice balance. If I wanted to alternately minimize the attack of the piano, I'd just move the mics back a bit, and I'd end up with a mellower sound. I also want to capture some of the reverberance of the room, and so I have another large diaphragm condenser a few feet back from the piano, serving as a room mic. It's a pretty easy setup, and it'll sound good for this piano. So for the piano, I wanted a lively sound, something with a little bit of reverberance. But it's not uncommon for a lot of sources to record completely dry, devoid of any room sound, because it gives you a lot more flexibility when it comes to the mixing stage. And to achieve that, we need to acoustically treat the room. Behind me are 2-inch thick acoustical cotton panels, and they absorb really well across the full range of the frequency spectrum. Cover about 50 to 75% of your wall space, and you'll have a reasonably dry recording room, which is exactly what I want for the guitars and vocals that are coming up. I'm miking up an electric guitar cabinet with a Shure SM57. The sound's going to depend on the microphone's distance from the speaker and position relative to the cone. Closer to the cabinet is going to result in a drier sound, and closer to the cap, the center of the speaker, will result in a brighter sound. If you want to capture more room, move the mic away from the cabinet, and if you want things darker, move the mic closer to the edge of the cone. I'm ending up about 2 inches away from the cabinet and midway between the edge of the cone and the cap. Now it's time to play some guitar. Okay, I'm going to record that part again, but this time with a different pickup selected. And that's going to help fill out the sound, and it's a technique called double tracking. Okay, I'm about to record vocals using the Shure KSM-42, and you can see I've got its windscreen on, which you want to use anytime you're recording vocals. Here again, the position of the mic relative to the source, this time you, will color the sound. If you want a richer, fuller vocal, try angling the mic down from above so it captures both the resonance from your mouth as well as your chest. If you want to brighten up the vocal, try angling the mic upward to capture more of your sinus area. That said, I like to address the mic straight on to avoid coloring the sound too much at all. I'll be about 4 inches away from the microphone, and I might lean in a little bit for quiet passages and lean back a little bit for especially loud passages. But primarily, just make sure that you set the preamp gain on your interface to accommodate the loudest passage that you're going to sing. You want to make sure that you're not clipping the inputs on the interface. The most important part of getting a great vocal recording, though, is to prepare yourself as a singer. Check out my singing lessons here. Make sure you practice your part and warm up before you dive in. All right, here we go. Machine code ratifies an eyelid ever wide and bright stripes. Okay, any questions? Ask in the comments. If you're not already subscribed, do that so you don't miss the upcoming videos. And next time we're going to talk about mixing to get the most impact out of the tracks we just recorded. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm Sahar Galt. I'll see you next time.